left to right. Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
What's up, everybody? It is Deibs, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to Party on Broad. First, let's introduce our guests. You know him as Stephen Conrad Jr. on YouTube. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at PhillyFanaticYT. What's going on, Stephen?
What's up, guys? Ready to enjoy a Sunday without Eagles football, as weird as that sounds. I'm kind of relieved. Huge win on Thursday night. Our attention turns to Dallas tonight, baby.
It's amazing how just the storylines in the NFL work. You went from just a few days ago, doom and gloom. The Eagles lost to the Detroit Lions. A few days later, they defeat the Green Bay Packers. Everyone's more optimistic. Everyone's feeling good. No Eagles today. We also have Justin Bradley. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Justin J. Bradley. What's going on, Justin?
Nothing much, just same thing as Steven said. I'm ready just to relax, eat some food, just watch Dallas lose tonight, hopefully. And hopefully that happens, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of scared, but yeah.
So we have a kind of a new concept for you guys today. On tap for today, we are going to do a quarterly report of the Eagles. We're going to be grading the offense, Carson Wentz, Doug Peterson, how comfortable we are with the offense and defense, and kind of just judge the Eagles based on the last 4 games. We're also going to add a timer element, and this will be a contest between Justin and Steven, and I'll keep tally. There's no one wins anything. It's just for fun. You guys ready to get started?
Yeah.
All right. Let's start off. How would you grade Carson Wentz so far? Go ahead, Steven.
All right, so if I were to put a letter grade on it, I'm going to give Carson Wentz a B+. A B+ meaning he's one of the upper echelon of quarterbacks, but I think his play is going to get better as the season goes on, and I think he can trend up in the A letter grades and become an MVP candidate when the season's all over.
All right, made it within 30 seconds. Sounds good. How about Justin? Ready, go.
All right, so I'm going to give him an A-. Once again, this season's been really hard to grade the team overall because of all the injuries, but when the team's been fully healthy, Wentz has played really well, as we saw Thursday night in Green Bay, and then the second half of the Washington game, and he has 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he's on pace for close to his 2017 stats, which was an MVP level, and yeah.
All right, just made it under 30 seconds. I give him a B-. He's like a tough read. Like 50% of his performance goes beyond his actual quarterback play. You go to the drops, the injuries, especially Dallas Goedert and Deshaun Jackson. But Carson Wentz is far and beyond not the problem with the Eagles so far. He continues to put them in position to win. He needs to get better. I don't think that's any question. I gave him a B-. Let's move on. Let's give a grade. I'm going to give Justin the win for that one. I love the optimism, the A-. Let's move on to how would you grade Doug Peterson? Steven, 30 seconds on the clock. Go.
All right, so I'm going to give Doug Peterson a B-, believe it or not. I think to really start this season off, I didn't like some of his play calling, really unbalanced, and not doing your franchise quarterback any favors by not having any run balance. This last game, however, I talked about in one of my videos, this was one of his better play calling games as the Eagles head coach, but B-. This is something that's definitely going to improve as the season on, I expect. But I give these 4 games.
Just made it. How about you? How about you, Justin? On the clock. Go.
So I'm actually going to give him a B+. He's had some shaky starts to games. We need to fix that. But overall, as a coach, he's done a really good job of keeping this team in games and keeping their mind focused on the games. And they've been able to keep every game close so far. And it shows their resiliency. And other than the play calling, I think he's done a really good job of keeping this team's head straight.
All right. Sounds good. I went with a C. I think I'm a little more negative than you guys. The Eagles are still 21st in first quarter offense. Nothing has really changed compared to last season. At least from the Green Bay game, you saw the Eagles run the ball, a much more balanced attack on offense. That's a priority number 1. I will give it to Steven. You get a point there. I liked your points. Let's move on to how would you grade Jim Schwartz? Steven, ready, go.
All right, well, I'm going to be brutally honest. This has been the most painful thing for me all season. This guy is getting a D+. I'm sorry. I understand he doesn't have a lot of talent to work with, and Howie Roseman owes him a Jalen Ramsey on this team, but this guy is the biggest reason, and, it's probably the personnel that he has. We're giving up way too many points. We're always falling behind. You can look at the offense scoring, but this defense is terrible, and that's led behind Jim Schwartz. Give him a D+.
D+, just made it. How about you, Justin? On the clock, 30 seconds. Go ahead, man.
So I actually strongly disagree with that. I think, not strongly. I give him a B-. I think the defense is the reason why I've been able to keep these games close when the offense isn't scoring in the first half or anything. I think he's doing the best with what he has. And they got to the Rodgers a couple times on Thursday, and I think that's going to gradually improve here. That was a big momentum swing for the defense.
Good job. I went with a D. It's still one of the worst combinations in football. Terrible offensive scoring on offense, giving up way too many points in the first quarter on defense. The defense is giving up the third most points per game in the NFL. And luckily, they get better in the second half so far, but it's not near top 10. The defense is the bottom third of the NFL. I'm happy he's blitzing more, but they're not getting home. It's just not good enough. So I went with the D. Again, it's a football Sunday, no Eagles. I'm relaxed. I'm happy. I love Justin's optimism. I'm giving it to Justin this time. Let's move on to who has been the standout on the Eagles offense. All right, Steven, ready, go, man.
So this one was honestly hard for me, and maybe I'm just doing this for like recency bias, but my standout to me has to be Jordan Howard, man. This past game, 3 touchdowns, completely dominant. He showed what happens when you give him the rock. We gave up, a 6th-round pick for the guy. Everybody's saying he doesn't have it anymore. Come on, man. He's the standout. 3 touchdowns and a dominant win on the road against the Packers. Come on. Jordan Howard's been my standout so far.
Beautiful. All right. You ready, Justin? You are on the clock. Go.
So I know it's been hard with injuries, but and he's only played 2 games, but I have to give it to Alshon Jeffrey. When he steps on the field, you can immediately tell a difference in the offense. You saw it in the Green Bay game. The catches that he can make changes the offense, changes the plays, and he makes the red zone a lot difficult to stop for the defense. So I have to give it to Alshon.
All right, Alshon. I'm going to go with Brandon Brooks. According to Pro Football Focus, he's the highest rated guard in the NFL. It's unbelievable to think that just 8 months ago, he had an Achilles injury. But I just got to give major props to Brandon Brooks so far this season. I will give it to Steven. I'm a big Jordan Howard fan. I think moving forward, he is the key to the Eagles' success. All right, it is 2-2. Let's move on to the standout for the Eagles defense. Steven, 30 seconds on the clock. Go ahead, man.
All right, so I have a feeling you guys are probably going to pick this one too, but that's fine. Mine's got to be Malcolm Jenkins, just due to his age and everything like that. He's been the most consistent player. He never misses a snap. He's always healthy. He's always out there on the field, and it seems like when everybody's banged up, he's like the most consistent thing on this defense through all the chaos on this defense, all the Jim Schwartz nonsense and the sticks defense, whatever you want to say. He plays multiple positions. It's Malcolm Jenkins. Come on, it's got to be him.
Woo! Good job, Steven. You just missed the 30-second mark every single time. You're like within a second.
Dang, man, look at this.
Biggest standout on defense. Go ahead, Justin. 30 seconds.
See, I completely agree with Steven. He's always shown up when he needs to, and he had that big block kick against the Lions. Unfortunately, he then did a block in the back, which they called, which could be arguable. But overall, he's been the most consistent player. You never hear his name that much, so that's a good thing compared to Darby. So Malcolm Jenkins for me.
Love it. I also got to give him props for that block he had when he blocked the field goal, and that was just a heroic moment. My standout, I don't know if you guys are going to agree with this one. It's a little crazy. I'm feeling optimistic. I'm going with Andrew Sendejo. I'm probably going to get flamed. Yeah. But, dude, this guy was just killed by Eagles fans all preseason long. He's got a sack. He's got some interceptions. He's got some deflected passes. I think he's been kind of a surprise compared to how, we killed him. And now he's he's not good by any means, but playmaking-wise, he's among the best on the defense. I'm giving Andrew Sendejo props. Come at me. Let's move on. Oh, winner. Let's go. You guys tie. I'm giving it both to you.
Tie. I mean,
I'm giving it both to you. Malcolm Jenkins is a great pick. Pay the man. Got it. All right, let's move on to the most disappointing player on the Eagles through 4 games. 30 seconds on the clock. Go ahead, Steven.
There was 2 guys I had in mind, but I'm sorry. I may catch a lot of heat for this. It's got to be Sidney Jones, man. I'm so sorry. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree. We're putting so much stock into this guy in general, and more specifically this season. He always seems to get burnt. And do you ever notice whenever he gets burnt for a big play, he always has to go to that blue tent? I'm not saying anything, but it's starting to get old, man. Jalen Ramsey, we need you.
Bravo. Just made it in time, man. You're killing me. I want it to go off, man. Come on. Stop being so good. All right, go ahead, Justin. 30 seconds.
All right, so I was going to give it to Fletcher Cox, but this injury that he's had, and he's kind of gradually getting better, so I don't think that's really on him at all. But I'm going to have to give it to Ronald Darby. Ever since he got traded from Buffalo, he's not the same player that the Eagles traded for. He keeps getting burnt by every receiver. He sure does make some interceptions and good returns, but overall, there's more negatives than positives from him, and I don't even know where to end with that.
Yeah, he's been atrocious. Really, 2 really good ones there. I will give it to Isaac Seumalo. He was borderline unplayable versus the Atlanta Falcons. He had a decent game versus the Detroit Lions. But, dude, the Jason Kelce, these guys are just trying to do so much because Seumalo's performance has been so poor so far. Protecting Carson Wentz is priority number 1. I give it to Seumalo. He's been trash. Let's move on. Winner, I'm going to go Ronald Darby. You guys have good ones here. I'm going to give it to Ronald Darby. You win, Justin. Just not good enough.
Which, by the way, Darby was actually the other guy I was thinking of too, but I don't know. It's a split.
It's just crazy seeing him in the Buffalo highlights, and then now he's here. It's like it's a completely different player.
Yeah, that's a good Justin win. That's a good one.
Yep. Ronald Darby just needs to be better. He's supposed to be leading the secondary, and the secondary giving up the most points, like most yards in the NFL through the air. And they've only played, they played Aaron Rodgers, but Case Keenum, Matt Ryan, they shouldn't be this bad. And Ronald Darby's a big part of that. You see him get targeted game after game after game. Yeah. Let's move. Go ahead.
They're 13-3 with games that he doesn't play in.
Yeah.
So, I wrote that down. I forgot to say it. I just
Justin, you get an extra point for that. That's awesome stat. All right, move on to which player has been the biggest surprise through 4 games? Lead us off, Steven. 30 seconds.
This was might have been the easiest question for me on this list. It's Brandon Brooks. The guy tore his Achilles in that playoff game against the Saints. As you said, he's back. He was playing week 1, which shocked me completely. An Achilles injury. He's a big dude. And as you said, Pro Football Focus has him ranked as one of the best guards in the entire league. Come on, dude. Brandon Brooks, biggest surprise, man. Easily.
Great job. Couldn't agree more. All right. Justin, ready? 30 seconds. Go ahead, man.
So this might be a little bit of surprise, but I'm going to give it to Miles Sanders. He had a bad game against the Lions, but overall he's shown a lot of resiliency, and he's a tough skin. He's able to move past that game into the Packers game. He had a really good kick return, had a really good rushing game overall, and just seeing a running back like that in the Eagles' backfield again is crazy. He's just developing in front of our eyes. So I love to see it.
Just made it. Good job, buddy. Really good ones there as well. I got to go with Fletcher Cox. This is a guy that's a top 10 player in the NFL to me. The Eagles are currently the 2nd worst in the NFL in sacks. It's not that he's not doing well against the run. I think he's doing fine against the run. He's got to get home, and I think the defensive line, the pressure, getting to the quarterback is just not good enough. You've seen Jim Schwartz have to blitz as much as possible so far. And I am going to give it to Justin again, because I think no one expected Miles Sanders to start and get more carries from day 1. That has been a huge surprise. Justin with the W right there. The next one we have here is, what grade would you give the Eagles offense through 4 games? Go ahead, Steven.
All right, so I'm gonna give them a B minus. I think this is something that it should be way higher of a grade. Our expectations were this offense. Our expectations heading into the season was for them to have an A plus. They're B minus, still struggling to start off first quarter games. They're one of the better offenses in the league, but not excuse me, not where they should be. So they get a B minus.
All right, nailed it. How about you, Steven? Or how about you, Justin? Go ahead, man.
So I actually have two different. So like it's hard once again because of all the injuries. We've never seen really this full offense except for the second half in the Washington game. So this Packers game was like our first chance at seeing the full offense except for Deshaun. I think when everybody's on there, they're around a B plus. You can just see how different they are from when they aren't. And I gave the backup wide receivers and all that a B minus.
All right.
There's a huge difference when they play.
Yep. This is, like you guys said, another really hard question because you really haven't seen, like Justin said, the full offense together. I went with a C plus. We're pretty much right in that same boat. They must show better balance like they did in the Green Bay Packers game. You must give the rock more to Jordan Howard moving forward. If they do that, they'll be fine. I give them a C plus. I'll go with Steven for this one. Let's move on to something. Oh, how would you grade the Eagles' defense through 4 games? Lead us off, Steven. Go ahead, man.
Well, if you remember, I gave Jim Schwartz a D plus. That was being generous. This defense, in my opinion, if I gave him a D plus, because he does pretty well with what he works with, I guess you could say. This defense gets a D, in my opinion. We're giving up far too many yards. We bend but don't break. I am so tired of saying that. We give up way too many yards, way too many points. A game where the offense scores 34 points on the road, and we're still wondering if we're even going to come out with the win. They get a D so far.
Beautiful, beautiful. Go ahead. Josh made it, man. Good job. Let's move on to Justin. How would you grade the defense? Go ahead, man.
So I gave Jim Schwartz a B minus. I'm probably going to give the defense a B minus too. Overall, the yards really don't matter. In the end, it's all those red zone stops that they had in the Packers game. This defense, in my opinion, is the reason why this team is staying in games. They continue to make goal line stands, and they had 3 picks against Matt Ryan. I think they're doing the best that they can, and hopefully we can get Jalen Ramsey in here soon. But they're doing the best with what they have.
All right. I went with a C minus. Just not good enough. We've seen Jim Schwartz just get completely blown up on the blitzes he's called. They're not getting to the quarterback. Overall, though, I'm still more worried about the defense than I am with the offense. I gave him a C minus. I'm going to go with Steven on this one for being sick and tired of the bend not break defense. I can't handle it anymore. It's just way too much anxiety every Sunday. Steven, you got that one, dude. All right, let's move on to something you were totally wrong about the Eagles through 4 games. Steven, go ahead, dude. 30 seconds.
This pains me to say, man, but all offseason I was hyping up this offense and how they were going to start off games so fast. I was so wrong. They're still not doing it. They're showing some signs and flashes, but they're still not starting off games fast. They have the personnel to do it. Just comes down to Doug and Carson. I cannot stress it enough. Got to off games faster. I expected them to be hot like they were in the 2017 season, but hopefully that can change.
Good job. Good job. Justin, something you were totally wrong about the Philadelphia Eagles. Go ahead.
Mine is just that we were going to be fine at cornerback. For some reason, I thought that Ronald Darby would be able to be better than what he was last year. And I didn't really take into account all the injuries that we've had. And I thought at this point, we wouldn't have to have Jalen Ramsey. I thought it would be like a kind of a luxury to have him, not a necessity. So I'd have to give it to cornerback.
Beautiful.
Being okay. Yeah.
Absolutely nailed it. Me personally, it's still early. We have a long way to go. And this is hard to say, but for me, it's Avonte Maddox. I had him pegged to have one of the biggest breakout years on the Eagles and in the NFL. I thought he was just due to have a huge season. It's not happening. I expect more out of Avonte. And to be honest, I had Avonte better than Ronald Darby at the start of the season. It's just not happening. Just like a lot of the young guys on defense, they're not taking that next step in their development. I'm an optimistic guy. I think it's going to happen. We'll see. Let's give it to Justin. Something you were totally right about the Eagles. Go ahead, Steven.
So I personally didn't feel good about this secondary coming into this season. I thought Avonte Maddox showed a lot of promise last year, and I still think he's going to be a corner piece of the secondary. But Howie Roseman, I keep stressing this, did not do anything to improve the secondary. Re-signing Ronald Darby is not improving the secondary. Ronald Darby's got to go, man. I can't deal with it anymore. I was right. I knew the defense was going to be the weak point of this team, and the unit specifically, the weakest unit on this team is the secondary. Jalen Ramsey, please come.
Nailed it just in time. Go ahead, Justin. You're up.
So mine is actually how dangerous this offense is when they're fully healthy. We saw in the second half. Well, the first half of the Washington game, I give it a preseason feel. But if you remember, they were driving, and then Deshaun had that stupid penalty. So who knows what would have happened at the end of that first drive. They had the 2 big bombs to Deshaun. When they're all fully healthy, you saw Alshon when he came back. You just see how dangerous they are. And Goddard back, he can block. Ertz can block. They can both there's too many weapons. I just can't wait to see if everyone's healthy for this Jets game.
All right, nailed it. I went with depth at defensive end. I screamed that, relying on Derek Barnett, Josh Sweat, these guys was a little scary. And you saw what happened at defensive tackle, the injuries. But I'm really nervous moving forward with Derek Barnett's injury status and moving forward at that position. I'm going to give it to Steven. Justin, you're up by 1, by the way. And we are going to finish with one last question. You guys don't know this one yet. The next quarter of the season of the Eagles' schedule is Jets at home, at Minnesota, at Dallas, and at Buffalo. The Eagles are currently 2-2 in those 4 games. How will the Eagles look after the next 4 games? Go ahead, Steven.
All right. So with better health, better chemistry, and just a better understanding of what needs to get done, this is going to look like a legitimate Super Bowl contender in these next 4 games. In my opinion, they're going to go 3-1 at the very least in these next 4 games. I think you're really going to start to see the pieces of the puzzle fitting together. I think this is where you start to see the Philadelphia Eagles we expected this season.
Perfect. All right, Justin, last one. Go ahead, buddy.
All right. Well, I think with these 10 days of rest that they have right now, they're going to start off these next 4 games fresh. Hopefully everybody's healthy, like I've talked about. Deshaun Jackson's back. He changes the offense completely. We saw how much Alshon changed it. Now think about when they're together. I don't know. I don't want to be crazy, but I think they could honestly win all 4 of these games. I think they could be 6-2 by the end of this.
Love it. I agree with Justin. We're running the table here. The Eagles are finally going to start giving the ball to Jordan Howard. The offensive line is going to get better and better and better as we expected them to start the year. And hopefully we get Jalen Ramsey. That solved a couple of problems. And that's it. Make sure you follow Steven on Twitter at PhillyFanaticYT and check out his YouTube page, Steven Conrad Jr. He is Justin J. Bradley on Twitter. Make sure you check out all of our Eagles content on thepainted.lines.com and follow us on Twitter at EaglesTPL. Any last comments, guys? Go ahead, Steven.
Stay tuned for this Dallas game, and please, Eagles Nation, because I endured this the last 3 weeks. If they lose this game, do not let Dallas Twitter, do not let them.
Yeah, I just want a Dallas loss so then I can see Twitter the next day, all the trolling of Cowboys fans, because they're still looks like they're still enjoying their preseason. So we'll have to see how they are after tonight.
All right. For Steven, for Justin, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. Go Birds!
Go Birds!
Go Birds!
Sixers win it! Wow! Oh man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell